Good morning, Stahls TV viewers. I'm Jenna.
I'm Mike.
And thanks for joining us here on Stahls TV for heat printing mixed media monograms. If you joined me in the last monogram class, we touched base about a lot of different monogramming techniques and how to accomplish creating your very own monograms at your shop. If you didn't get a chance to check that out, be sure to visit the Stahls TV website so you can see all the stuff that we touched base on in that class. Assuming that you guys have mastered the basics of monogramming, Mike and I want to show you some new ideas for monogramming, showing you new techniques such as incorporating patterns, mixed media, and some unique effects to your looks. So we have a lot of stuff to share with you guys here today, so I'm going to kick this thing off by heading to the press and showing you our first look. For this look, we're going to be showing incorporating glitter and foil onto something for home decor, and that is a pillowcase. So not only does monogramming apply to apparel, but it also applies to home decor as well. So we picked this pillowcase up at Wholesale Boutique, and for my first step, I'm just going to put my glitter flake down. Keep in mind, we're using our heat printing pillow, so I want to double check my pressure here. Okay, so I'm going to place my glitter flake down for a quick 2-second tack. And then glitter flake's a hot pill, so we can go ahead and peel this carrier back. And then I'm going to drop in my CAD cut adhesive here. So CAD cut adhesive is a heat transfer vinyl that you can use whenever you want to apply foil to an accessory or item. So I'm going to do this at 300 degrees for 5 seconds. And our adhesive is a hot peel, so we can go ahead and peel that carrier back. And then what we're going to do next is apply our foil sheet down. Cover that with our cover sheet. And this is going to apply at 300 degrees for 10 seconds. Foil comes in a lot of different colors. For this one, I'm going to be using holographic silver. So if you want to check out some of the other colors that we offer, you can go to stahls.com and check out all of those. Now that my foil is applied, I'm going to wait for this to cool down a little bit. And then as soon as this is cool, I can go ahead and peel this back. So to get this to cool down a little faster, I'm just going to touch the foil to a cold surface. And now we should be okay to go ahead and peel that sheet back. Okay, so we have our first personalized item. This is mixing glitter flake and foil for a really nice finish there. You can see how much this color brings out all the patterns in this. And that's just one of the many ways you can incorporate mixed media into decorating items. So we can get a close-up view of this. So you can see how nice of a finish that is with that foil and the glitter flake. And I also want to point out what I did here was do the foil as the second step, because if I were to do the glitter flake as the second step, this would actually matte up. So if you wanted to matte up the foil here, you could hit this a second time, but to keep that mirror-like finish, you want to keep that as the second application there. Okay, so the next step, Mike's going to show us another mixed media trend, so I'll hand that off to him.
Thank you, Jenna. Very nice application. Apologize for the technical difficulties we had on the camera there. You know, so you were looking at Jenna's back most of the time, but she recovered nicely. So, so now that you saw some applications for home decor, which has been a huge trend we've seen with monogramming and just heat application in general, you know, people starting to think outside the box. So, you know, we'll get back now to the bread and butter of heat transfer, which is apparel. You know, so the next thing we're going to monogram is a pair of women's running shorts. You know, so, you know, you'll notice with these, you know, the seams and the waistband and things, you know, how am I going to press this without, you know, the seams or the straps or anything like that could get in the way and interfere with our pressure and lead us to a faulty application. So one of the benefits and the versatility of the Hotronix Fusion is the ability to swap out your platens. So, you know, we're going to take the standard 16 by 20 off and load in the 6 by 10 to give us a much better pressing area so that we achieve a better result. So we'll place this on, and swapping out this platen is going to allow us to dress the platen so that we could put these shorts on there to avoid the seams of it. So we'll place it on like so. We'll see the waistband falls down below here, and Karen's going to hate me because I slid the platen, and we have a nice flat pressing surface. But as always, anytime you change a platen or item that you're pressing, you always want to adjust the pressure of your heat press. So we almost have none there since we have a lot less surface area. So we'll tighten it up, and we're ready for application. So with this, we're doing our CAD cut hologram and our fashion film. So I'm going to go ahead and apply the hologram first. Placing it on our shorts. And this applies at 320 degrees for 10 to 15 seconds. And the hologram is a cold peel, you know, so we're going to allow that to cool. Just do that. And then once we remove our Mylar, much like Jenna did, we'll take our second layer of material and line it up over what we pressed. So now that that's cooled, we'll remove the Mylar, place our fashion film. And since we already have an application down, I'm going to use a cover sheet just to protect our transfer that's there, as well as the upper platen of the press, so to not melt any transfer, anything like that. And so the fashion film applies at 300 degrees for 10 to 15 seconds. And the fashion film, why I like that so much is it's a hot, warm, or cool peel, so as soon as we're done applying, we could remove that. And there we have our monogram jogging shorts with a unique finish that sometimes it's near impossible to replicate with embroidery. So we'll hand it back over to Jenna for a new application on apparel.
Yeah, I really like that application specifically because hologram can be used as faux rhinestone so that you don't have to get into some pricey stuff with working with rhinestones. You can use hologram cut out of circles to do that. Okay, so for our next application, one of my personal favorites is incorporating a few different materials into one. So for this, I'm going to switch out my platen here to my 16 by 20. Lock that in place. And we'll thread our garment on here. So whenever you're threading your garment on, you want to make sure that no seams or anything that could cause uneven pressure up on the platen. We're okay here. I'm going to double check my pressure again since we changed the platen out. And you always want to make sure you're preheating your garments beforehand. So checking the pressure will do that for you. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 4 different heat transfer vinyls that I'm going to apply on one different shirt. And what's great about applying each of these heat transfer vinyls is that they're all a hot peel, so I can just tack these down for 5 seconds each, 2 to 5 seconds each. I'm going to make sure I'm far enough down from my collar there. Okay. This is fashion film. I'm going to tack this down for a couple seconds. Peel this carrier. I'm going to do glitter flake next. So I'm just going to lay that in just like so. Grab my cover sheet.
Behind you.
Mike moved it on me. Tack that for a couple seconds. We're going to do the same steps for the following 2 applications as well. Oh. Looks like we didn't get enough pressure there, so I'll just, no problem, cover that with a cover sheet again. Make sure I have a medium pressure since we're applying glitter flake. Next, I'm going to apply flock. So we'll lay that down there. Carefully place down our cover sheet. Now I'm going to apply that one 3 to 5 seconds to tack it down, just to make sure we have a good adhesion there. So I can go ahead, let that cool for a little bit. Flock is a warm peel. And then last, I'm going to be applying foil again, and then going back in with a glitter flake piece to personalize with our shamrock here that we have. So you'll be able to see this step where we mat up the foil. I'm going to apply this for the full 5 seconds so that we get the right adhesion on there. Can peel the Mylar carrier back hot, lay our foil down, and we'll apply our foil for its full application. 300 degrees for 10 seconds. We're going to wait for that to cool. Just going to take it off the platen a little bit and let it cool down. That should be cooled down enough that I can peel that back. And now I'm going to go in with my glitter monogram here. Now for this glitter piece, you'd think that you would want to apply this for its full application, but you don't want the edges of this Mylar mark to stick into the foil. So I'm just going to do this again for a 2-second tack. Peel that carrier back so we don't get a square in our foil. And now we'll do the full application. We'll just hit this for 10 seconds at 300 degrees. Now we did something just like this a few weeks back to inspire decorators for Valentine's Day. And I wanted to show you a fun way that you can do it for St. Patrick's Day as well by mixing 4 different heat transfer vinyls into one. All right, so we're going to hand it back over to Mike. We're going to be showing you some digital full color looks, so you can take it from here.
All right. So one of the most popular trends that we've seen with monogramming is full color applications. As you've seen in some of these other ones, yeah, they're specialty finishes, you know, with glitter and foils and stuff like that. But one of the things that's very popular, like I said, is full color applique. You know, traditionally applique is done with a twill or a fabric, but you could also utilize heat transfer products to achieve that same look. You know, so what we're going to do here today is just cover, you know, just briefly, you know, the printer itself and how that's done, you know, and then take some application. What we're using today, it's the Roland BN20, which you see over here to my left. And what it is, it's a full color digital printer and contour cutter in one. You know, so what this will allow you to do is think outside of the box, and you know what you're used to with single colors is now print full color any design that you want. You know, so we have our Express Print loaded into the machine, which is what we're going to be printing on. And everything, you know, you will have to have a design software such as CorelDRAW or Adobe Illustrator to create your designs and place your cut lines on it in there. You know, so we'll go ahead and send a job. And what we're printing is a monogram that's full color, and the same machine is going to go ahead and contour cut. And so what you can you do with this with monogramming? We have here an applique, you know, which, you know, what you put your placement stitch down, and then you lay a sheet of the Express Print over top that's been printed, which you'll see here. And then in a later video, you'll see the whole process from start to finish with the sheet being laid down, the satin stitch being pulled away, and then the excess being ripped, leaving you with this. And then more traditionally, what you'll see in this particular one is, you know, no stitching involved, just heat pressing. So you can see, get the same look. You know, for those of you who don't have embroidery capabilities, you could create an applique look without having a stitch just by doing a full color digital transfer here.
We can go ahead and head over to the Max Press. We actually have another full color digital way to get pattern looks for monogramming without using the Eco Solvent printer. So we'll head over to the Max Press so I can show you that process. All right, so here I have my 8x10 loaded on. We're going to be printing on a tote bag. This is going to make it super easy for loading this on so we don't have to work for a bunch of layers here. All right, so whenever I throw this on, I want to make sure that my my seams and everything are off of the platen so we have a nice flat surface. And we're actually going to be sublimating on glitter flake. Glitter flake is a very popular material, especially if we're getting into monogramming. And I'm going to show you a really cool way how to make white glitter flake a pattern effect, and that's by using sublimation. So what I'm going to do is place my glitter flake down and tack that down for a couple seconds. Adjust my pressure, make it a little firmer. And I'm going to go ahead and peel my carrier back. And here I have my sublimation sheet. I printed this out on a Sawgrass sublimation printer. And I'm just going to lay this down on the white glitter flake. And I have my temperature up to 380 degrees. I'm going to apply this for 45 seconds. Make sure my cover sheet's on there. And while that's applying, if we have any questions or you guys have any, are wondering about any of the materials we're using, feel free to chat that in at any time. How are we looking over there, Mike?
We should be okay, I think.
Okay, great.
Okay, we have a question, Jenna?
Okay, looks like we have some questions coming in.
Does that method work with all glitter flake, and is there a better glitter flake to do sublimation on? I have seen lines on the glitter flake at times when I have sublimated onto it.
Okay, so it'll work on any of the glitter flake colors, but you also want to make sure you're using a color that is going to show definition of what you're sublimating on it. So you want to have light colors such as white, neon yellow, silver even works as well. But definitely white will bring out a lot of the color. So if we can zoom in on that so you guys can see the nice print that it has there. Lighting's kind of shifting it a little bit. But next we're going to take a couple other questions that we have.
What is the name of the machine that Mike is printing on?
That is the Roland BN20.
And what is the material of the tote bag? And is the glitter flake a polyester material in order to be sublimated on?
Yes, glitter flake has a polyester base, so that's what is allowing the ink to adhere to the glitter flake. And the tote bag that we're using here is a canvas material. You can find these at Sanmar, SNS Activewear, you name it. It's a canvas material, so the glitter flake will adhere just fine. So next I'm going to do a customization with a monogram here, so I'm just going to drop that in the center there. And I'm just going to tack this for a couple seconds, and then I'll do the full application at the other heat press since our temperature is really high right now. Okay, so we have that tacked. I can go ahead and peel this carrier hot. Although we tacked it, you want to make sure that you're getting the full application on this so that it doesn't fall off in the wash. So even though you tacked it for a couple seconds, you want to make sure you're doing its full application. So we'll head over to diffusion and press this for an additional 10 to 15 seconds. And just going to make sure my straps are off the back so we get a good even pressure. Cover this with a cover sheet. You want to make sure to do this step so that that sublimation isn't going to go onto the upper heating element. Anytime sublimation hits the right temperature, it's going to release the gas again. So you want to make sure that you have it covered at all times with a cover sheet. And we have our completed full color glitter tote bag. Mike's going to show you another process to get full color, so we'll toss it back over to him.
All right, we have our printer finally printing here. You know, that was an error on my part here. I didn't have the VersaWorks setting correct and it crashed it. So, but what it's doing, like I said, we're printing on our CAD Color Express print, you know, which you could purchase at Stahls.com. It comes in a roll form. You know, and it's going to allow you to heat press full color transfers on any fabric, whether cotton or 50-50 blends is kind of what we recommend the Express print for. Wow. It can adhere to polyester, but the thing you want to watch out with polyester when heat pressing is dye migration. So we have the solution, or I'm sorry, the CAD Color Sublistop to prevent any kind of dye migration if you choose to go to polyester. Yeah, so as you know, the machine, what it's doing now is it's printing our design, our full color monogram, similar to what you saw in this bag here. And when the machine is done printing, it's going to come back in and contour cut around the lettering, the shapes, or whatever it is that you need to cut around. So it gives you a lot of versatility there, you know, as far as what you could do design-wise. You know, with the many different types of materials that we have, you know, with the, like I said, the Express print, which you're using now, the foil text, there's really no limitation to, you know, the fabrics that you could create transfers for, whether it's your basic cottons to, you know, the popular trends in garments today, the Under Armours, the Nikes, the dry fit stuff. You know, there's, you know, just so much flexibility there, you know, that you could do with. And so once our design is done printing, it's going to come back in and then contour cut around the designs. Get me mad. So like I said before, you know, with the full color printing, you know, we could just do a traditional heat press or take it a step further, like I said in the video that we're going to see next, with a rip away applique process, which most of you, you know, if you're doing monogramming, you've probably used our glitter flake with, but you could do the same thing with the express print. So it gives you some more flexibility there. And here we have a question that we'll go ahead and field.
Mike, are you printing that image in reverse?
No, it's a good question. Traditionally, you know, with CAD cut materials, you have to print in reverse. You know, with the print cut process, you're printing everything in the positive, which, you know, what I'll do once it's done cutting, we'll go through the process. So it's printed in the positive, it's cut, and then we're going to weed it just like we do with the CAD cut material. But there's one extra step, and that's the masking. And that's, you know, you'll see is we're actually printing on the face stock. With CAD cut, you're cutting on the adhesive side, which is why we cut backwards. Go ahead. Another question?
Can you press express print on faux leather?
Faux leather, probably, but you know, when things like that with fabrics, I would recommend the SuperTech or the FoilTech applications because of the STX2 adhesive, which is much more aggressive, you know, for synthetics and fabrics of the like. Any others?
We do have, what was the name of the cover sheet that you were using? And also, when you're pressing sublimation on and it gets stained on the cover sheet, can you use that particular cover sheet again, or will it bleed onto your next press?
That was craft paper that we're using for the application there. Yes, you know, if you have a white garment or white vinyl that's already been applied and you use that same craft paper sheet, that sometimes will go onto your transfer, so it's best to throw those away when using the sublimation, or, you know, cut around it, and, you know, you could use the scraps for smaller applications and stuff like that. But yes, you know, you do run the risk of that transferring over to a lighter color garment or anything, white screen print or white vinyl that may already be on that. But in our case, we didn't really take much concern in it because it was going on a black bag, you know, so nothing's going to show up on it anyway. Okay. So now that we have the design print and cut, you know, we're going to take it to the next step here, which is weeding, you know, which everyone, you know, is probably familiar with, you know, that's doing vinyl cutting and heat application. And what we're going to do is we're going to weed it and then we'll mask it. So weeding is just like everything else. Take our Stahls Easy Weeder and peel away the excess, leaving only on the carrier sheet what it is that we're going to transfer. So it doesn't weed any differently than CAD cut. You know, you just want to take a little more cares because it doesn't have a sticky carrier like the fashion film or even semi like the glitter flake. And just for time purposes, you know, we'll just weed one of these away, but, you know, I printed 3 of them. Okay. I'll go ahead and cut it off of here. Take that, Jenna. Thank you. And we'll weed out our cavities. And that's what's nice about, you know, the full color. You're telling it where to print, where to cut. You know, so here we have our almost ready transfer, full color, weeded. Now the next step, you know, this comes into play where, why aren't we cutting in reverse? Because we're going to use a transfer mask to pull this up, and then what the mask, it's just a sticky sheet of vinyl material, much like what our CAD cut material is backed with. Just lay this over top, and then it's going to allow us to peel this up and keep all of our registrations so we don't have to, you know, peel and stick everything. So, and the mask comes on a roll just like the vinyl itself, and we'll cut it to size. We'll just remove the mask from the carrier sheet, just like that. And we'll always want to save this, you know, because if you don't press a transfer right away, you could just remove our mask transfer and put this back on the carrier, set it on the shelf. So if you have a client that comes in and orders the same transfer over and over again, you could already have them pre-printed for them just to speed up your production process. So we'll lay the mask over top of our transfer, And then we'll take a squeegee to squeegee out any air bubbles and get that adhered to the transfer material. And once we're masked, we'll go ahead and remove. And here we're left with our heat press ready transfer, which I'm gonna take to the heat press next to apply to another tote bag. Here we have our tote bag. Jenna, where did we get this from?
I believe the Pennant Sportswear.
Pennant
or
Sportswear,
Sandbar.
okay. And this is just a cotton fabric here, so the express print is perfect for that. You know, but this is a difficult one, so we're not just going to use a 16 by 20. I'm going to use the 6 by 10 to go ahead and press this. Making sure our design fits, and it does. So we'll go ahead and dress the bag here on our platen. Sorry, Karen, for moving the platen. I'm notorious for that. And so we're doing this to avoid the straps here that typically go over the shoulders, the drawstring here, and this is going to give us a nice flat pressing surface to achieve the maximum pressure. So as changing out the platens like before, always do a pressure check. All right. So with our platen and bag placed, we'll place our full color transfer over the bag. And the express print, again, applies at 300 to 305 for 10 to 15 seconds, medium pressure. And we could peel this hot, we could peel this warm or cold. And there we have a full color application. And, you know, much like Jenna, we had a full color with sublimation, you know, but with sublimation it is kind of limiting to very light colors, like you saw with the white glitter flake. And, you know, traditionally sublimation is polyester, but with print cut, there's no limitations to the color of the garment itself or the fabric. So with that being said, what's next, Jenna?
Okay, so what we're going to do next is pair our full color digital heat transfer vinyl with other heat transfer vinyl, such as some of the CAD cut material and single color rolls that you're cutting at home. So we're going to go ahead and switch off to that.
What size platen do you need?
I need the 11 by 15.
Okay, I'll get that prepped for you.
Thank you. And I also want to make a correction. That bag actually was from Sanmar, so you can find that there as opposed to Pennant Sportswear. Just want to make sure you guys have the right supplier there. Okay, so what we're going to do is take that same material he just cut on the BN20 and pair that with glitter flake. So we'll go ahead and get that started by loading on our garment. We'll pre-press our garment to release any moisture, wrinkles, and also adjust our pressure since we changed out our platen. Okay. And we're going to take our express print and lay that down first. Just like the other materials, express print can be tacked for a couple seconds. And the reason we like to do this is so that we have a nice even design. So sometimes whenever you're applying your heat transfer vinyl and you do it for the full application, it'll tend to shrink underneath all of that heat. So by tacking this down for just a few seconds, that will decrease the chances of it shrinking and allow you to line up the rest of your design nice and evenly. So we'll go in with our glitter flake here. tack that for a couple seconds. And we'll go in with our last piece for a couple seconds as well. Now I want to point out I'm doing this as another tack because the glitter flake on the Mylar carrier, if you do that for its full application, the glitter on the Mylar carrier will tend to adhere to any flat or matte finished heat transfer vinyl. So we don't want that to stick into that express print. So by tacking that for 2 seconds, you will avoid that happening. So we'll just peel that back. And then we'll apply it for its full application. Now you can do this with several other CAD color materials. Express print is just one of many. Mike mentioned earlier that we offer a tech line, so be sure to check that out for other metallic finishes that we offer. All right, so that's a really nice finish there. So being able to pair CAD color material with CAD cut material really just increases all that you can do for your customers and profit as well. So we showed you several different ways how you can incorporate different materials to reach mixed media and different unique looks that you can achieve for monogramming. Now, Mike mentioned earlier the rip away applique process, and we want to show you how you can incorporate embroidery and heat transfer vinyl and pair them together to create a standout finish. So we'll bring up that video now so you can check that out.
The first stitch that will go down is the placement stitch. After the placement stitch is down, this shows us exactly where to put that glitter. I have cut a piece of glitter to fit this piece. I'm going to go ahead and move the hoop out so I have some working area. I also have taken the glitter and sprayed it a little bit with some spray adhesive. Now I will place it down, smooth it onto my fabric, and after it's done, I will then move the hoop back into the correct position. The next step is going to be the tack down stitch. All you have to do is press the start button and go. Of this process is to put down the cover stitch. We are utilizing the Madeira metallic thread to really bring out the glitter in this design. After this cover stitch is done, we will go ahead and rip away the glitter material from the applique. So after the stitching is complete, we can now rip away the material. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up this design just by ripping it away. And after I do rip it away, I'm going to hand it over to Courtney so she can do the final step on the heat press and heat seal it to the shirt.
The final step in the rip away process is just going to be to heat press our glitter material down to the shirt. This will ensure a durable application. I'm also using a heat printing pillow. This way I get a firm application across the dense satin stitch. Once I have that loaded on my heat press, I'll cover it with a cover sheet and heat apply for 10 seconds at 320 degrees. Can remove the cover sheet and we have a completed stunning glitter metallic design. The third way to create unique monogram effects is to create custom patterns utilizing CAD Color Express Print and a solvent or eco-solvent printer. We'll go ahead and load our design and begin sewing out through the rip-away process. We'll finish this off with a heat application to secure the express print down on the garment. The nice thing about having access to a solvent printer and CAD Color Express Print is it gives you the ability to create trendy, popular patterns on demand within your monograms. This applies at 300 degrees for 15 seconds. Remove the cover sheet and we have a completed garment.
So it's easy to see all the possibilities you have when it comes to mixed media monogramming by using a full color digital printer such as the BN20, an embroidery machine, and regular CAD cut heat transfer vinyl. So being able to mix all that up really creates high profit potential for anybody that you are monogramming for. Now I know that we have some questions, so we'll go ahead and answer a few of those before we end the class.
How heavy was the shamrock print on the tank top that you pressed earlier?
It's actually pretty lightweight because we didn't have to layer anything. So being that all of those different heat transfer vinyls were pressed separately in different areas of the garment, it still had a really nice lightweight finish.
Can you sublimate onto other heat transfer vinyl that isn't glitter?
We have tested glitter flake and flock. So if you want to see how the flock sublimation was done, you can visit stahlstv.com in our project Press It. We actually did that a couple weeks ago. It turned out pretty cool. So those are the only two polyester-based heat transfer vinyls that we know of that work well with sublimation. So being that it's a polyester base, you don't have to just stick to polyester garments. You can use that vinyl to press it down on 100% cotton tees or tri-blends and still be able to achieve full color looks.
Will the equipment and machines that you use today be available at the DAX show in Minnesota?
Yeah. Typically any of the equipment and materials that we use here in our Stahls TV classes and presentations, majority of all those will be, on display at the trade show. I was at DAX Minnesota last year, and we did have the BN20 in booth, the Fusion. We didn't have the Max. We typically carried the Auto Clam there at shows, but yeah, no problem. And floor models are always available for sale. If that's something that interests you, definitely call into the 800 line to get that reserved if that's something that you're looking to do to get those savings from the show floor.
Does the BN20 print using sublimation ink?
It does not, and that's a common misconception, sublimation's been around for so long. Any type of printing in this industry, and it's usually referred as that sublimation. But, the Roland BN20 and any other Roland machine uses an eco-solvent ink. Yeah, it's full color, but that's what's nice about it, sublimation. It's only good for polyesters and light colors, but with the BN20 and any Roland or eco-solvent printer, there's no limitations to the fabric or the color, the content you want to apply.
Is it possible to order samples of the printed glitter flake?
It is not possible to get samples of the printed glitter flake. Now we do offer a CAD prints glitter, so if you wanted to see samples of that, very similar to the sublimated glitter flake, so be sure to call into just our customer service and they'll get you some samples of that sent out. We also do offer sublimation transfers. So if you don't have a sublimation printer in-house, you can order those transfers with us and do the sublimation from home as well.
And it looks like this is our last question. Was the St. Patrick's design machine washable?
It is machine washable. Every heat transfer vinyl that we place on that shirt is tested up to 50 washes, so no worries there. It'll definitely stand up in the wash cycle. So if that's all of our questions, it's about time that we wrap things up here. So please be sure to join us next week. Josh Ellsworth will be doing a class for a full guide to heat printing bags. So that's January 22nd at 11 a.m. So be sure to check that out as well. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure.